This next automated command has been around for a while, but it just keeps getting better and better. They keep fine-tuning the results. And it's a command which allows you to take multiple photographs and turn them into a panoramic image. The command itself is under the file Automate, and it's called Photomerge, just outside my filming area, but it's under the Automate command. You would see it right away. When you choose it, this dialog box opens up, and it's going to give us these different options and the ability to decide on the files. Now, just before I do that, let me switch to Bridge for a second. I want to show you what the images actually look like in Bridge. What I did was I took my camera and had it vertically in portrait orientation. This is going to give you a better result. Generally do it that way. And a tip that I picked up from Matt Kloskowski was when you're about to start shooting the pano, put your finger or do something in the image so you know this is the start and this is the end. And the main reason for doing that is very often you end up trying it 2 or 3 times, and you want to make sure you kind of keep track of which images are which. Now later on in a different lesson I'll show you how to actually run Photomerge right from here within Bridge. But for now I just wanted to show you what the images look like, and you can see after I had my finger in there I took it away. There's my first shot, and then each shot as I turned my camera I made sure there was some overlap, and then there's the final shot. Now because I'm doing this in Photoshop, I'm going to make note of the fact that it's 6054 is the first one in the shot, and then 6062 is the final one. So back in Photoshop I would browse to find those. Here's the folder I created, and it's 6052 is the first one. Now what you may end up doing if you didn't look in Bridge first is you'd have to kind of look through and say where's my last one and make note. Okay, that's the last one and this is the first one. I'm holding on the Shift key, so that will add all of these files, and I'll click Open. Now before I go any further, let me just add there's all these options for different ways that it will attempt to put things together. I would suggest starting it left on auto and only use these other options if you're not happy with the results. Also, I'm going to suggest it's a great idea to let Photoshop attempt to blend the images together, because I've got to tell you, it does a really great job. Now here's an interesting thing. These images that I'm using, I notice there is a very slight amount of vignetting in the corners, so I could turn on this option that says vignette removal, but I want to show you even without doing that, just this alone, this looks pretty good. Now I could have gone in to Camera Raw and done some manipulating of the images first, so I want to show you straight out of the camera this is what it does. So I click OK, and it's starting to process the image. Now at this point again I'm not doing anything, this is just Photoshop opening all the individual images, and then it will start to put them into one document. Now needless to say, the more powerful machine you have, the less time it will take to do this. These are fairly large files because I didn't do anything first, so they're still raw files, which means they're probably fairly big and high resolution. And now it's put all the images in. You can see it already aligned them, but here's what's really interesting. Look at how you can see the bits of kind of the corners of each image, that little bit of vignetting, but now it's going through and it's, look at that, it's just basically fixed everything, done a really nice job. Now because I handheld this, this is not unusual at all to see this kind of edge, which I could now crop down. Now in a later lesson we'll take a look at how we could take advantage of CS5 technology to fix that even further. But I would crop this now, and again later on we'd see how to fix those images. So let me go to 100% view, and you can see as I go up to the top in that sky and start scrolling through, there really isn't any noticeable area where you see, oh, I can definitely see a seam where these were put together. Even when I come down here in areas where there's lots of potential for something sticking out because there's all this wood pattern and the fences and the shadows and everything else, but you can see it's done a really good job. And part of what's really interesting to this is when I hide one of the layers, this is the edge it created. You would almost assume that the edge was this some kind of beautiful masking function or something, but it really isn't. It's actually looking right through kind of seams of pixels and blending it all together. And that's, again, right out of the box, that's what it did. I want to go back here for a second just to do a comparison. If I were to go back and do Photomerge again, we'll add the same files, 6054 to 6062. But just out of interest, I'm going to try using a different option like perspective, and I'm also going to click these other options just to see if it makes any difference in the end result, and then we'll compare. My thinking is it did such a good job in the auto setting that I wouldn't necessarily need to try this other option. Now, as this is working, let me mention a couple of other things. When you're taking the photo, you can certainly make your life simpler by changing a few settings. For example, find the right kind of setting and then put your camera in manual mode so that the exposure won't change. In this case, I deliberately did not do that, but it still did a really good job. So you can increase your chance of success, but again, in this case, I deliberately chose some images that didn't have everything going for them, just to show you what a good job it does to begin with. This time it's probably going to take an extra second or two, moment or two longer, because I'm asking it to do these other steps, and now it's going to blend together. Now you can already see in this case, ironically enough, it probably did a better job with the line of horizon, but did some pretty odd things otherwise. So that's why we try these things to see. That's also why I always start out by people, you know what, try the automated one first. Yes, you can see the line of horizon is a little bit crooked, but if that was the case, I would frankly probably just do this. Select all the layers and merge them together so I have one document. Free transform, and then click on this warp button and just see if I can't kind of pull up this corner to make that, first of all, the line of horizon look a little straighter, and also by happy coincidence fill in that little problem that's at the top. Let's pull this up just a little bit more too. And this is one of these examples where if I hadn't shown you the first one, I don't know if you would necessarily looked and said, wow, it looks really curved. So that's it. That's how Photomerge works. Later on in another lesson we'll take a look at how slightly different approach but the same end result using Bridge.